Where we at? Are we back? Did you miss me? Did you miss me? I ain't gonna hold you. I'm here for a good time, not a long time, you all. Welcome to the Adjuster Checkup. Let's get our opening music, shall we please? All right. Welcome back to the Adjuster Checkup. I think I need to create some kind of theme song, but whatever. I want to say, first of all, you guys, I apologize for last week. I went back as soon as I was done with the live. I did the replay, and that whole video that I made that I was trying to share with you all from PLRB, you didn't see it. What I saw on my end is like black, just a black screen and no sound. I was like, oh my goodness. So, unfortunately, I'm still working with this old computer. I have not made a decision on replacing what what new laptop brand I want to replace the old laptop brand with. I have to do some editing, but what I think I'm going to do in the meantime is just add the video separately onto the YouTube page and then probably at that time send a little link for people to go and look at it. I don't know. I apologize. I'm sorry, but let's get into the subject for this evening. All right. All of season two, we're going to be talking about adjusting longevity. And I'm going to tell you something. One thing that is not helping with the adjusting, the desire for people to be in this industry for a long time is that they sometimes get misinformation. And as a result, they spin their wheels going in the wrong direction. They hit a wall. They become frustrated. They say, oh, that didn't work. And then they quit. And sometimes we quit so easily. So let's talk about it. All right. First thing I want to talk about solely for this episode alone. And if anybody follows me personally on Facebook, I did a quick little video, maybe a 17-minute video about this on Facebook. And I wanted to expand on it because I even got more information on it. And what we're going to be talking about is one, this title for this episode is focusing on the wrong adjusting path. More specifically, pursuing flood adjusting without knowing all the facts. I know. You heard the stories. You heard, oh my gosh, you get paid so much money. And you do. And you do. Oh my goodness, there's so much opportunity. Sometimes there is. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's not that you cannot be a flood adjuster. You absolutely can. But you got to know what you are getting yourself into. Okay. Let me hold on one second. Yeah. You got to know what you're getting yourself into. Okay. And so, with that, let me tell you what that is. Let me tell you what you're getting yourself into. All right. Um, so for one, you probably waited 4 years to become a flood adjuster. Fine. They say at the 4 year mark, you can go to an NFIP flood adjuster certification course and you can become a flood adjuster. You get that. And it's like, okay. And this is what brought this subject up. I still pay attention to some of the Facebook groups out there, and I'm seeing a lot of, I'm a flood adjuster now. How do I get to work? Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Flood adjusting is a totally different animal in the property adjusting world. Okay. Totally different animal. So, for one, you really have to have your knowledge of construction, building materials, how things are installed. You really need to have your knowledge base really up with that. You also need to have your knowledge base really up when it comes to policy interpretation. There is a lot of little nuances in flood adjusting that if you just rush into that thing and you don't know what you're doing and you think that you can, forgive my language, half ass your way, like you probably did with structural property, with flood adjusting, you're going to fall on your face and you're going to end up in debt. So let me explain. So for one, not only does your knowledge base and all that have to be up, let's just talk about the system that you're coming into as a new flood adjuster. One, not every time that you see a flood event on the Weather Channel or on TV, that does not mean there may be a lot of flood damage, millions, maybe billions of flood damage, but that does not mean that there is thousands of claims. Because what's been happening recently in our weather is that we have been having flood 100-year flood events. So, for somebody to even purchase a flood policy, they have to be in what we call a flood zone. How FEMA determines a flood zone is usually an area that has flooded within the last 50 years. So, if you're having a 100-year flood, that means that that area has not flooded in 100 years or more, well over 50 years, right? And so a lot of those individuals, a lot of flood events that you see, they don't even have flood insurance, baby, to even make a claim for, to even have a flood adjuster assigned. Um, that's one. So it's not as many overwhelming flood events as you would think. Not everything that you see out there is generating a bunch of flood claims. Now, it may very well be generating a bunch of denials on the homeowner side, but not on the flood side. All right. Along with that, I'm trying to make sure I keep all my thoughts organized. Excuse me for looking up in the air. Along with that, you also have to deal with, because of the flood events, there's very rarely these really huge, overwhelming flood events, because you're not seeing them like that, and not over and I mean overwhelming flood events where it's in a flood zone where people got flood coverage. Okay. So you got to kind of need thread the needle on that. Um, in addition to that, you're also dealing with the close knitness of the current and existing flood adjusters, who the different IA firms who not, and again, not every IA firm out there does flood claims or has clients that they have contracts to do flood claims for. Okay. But for those that do, it's a very close knit environment. They are calling out the same people, the true blues, that they always call for every flood event. And so, even if there is a big chunk of claims, you got to get those people, got to become overwhelmed first before that firm considers bringing on new flood adjusters, newly licensed flood adjusters. Okay. Um, so it's a lot of challenges there. And this is not to discourage, I said this on Facebook. This is not to discourage anybody. This is just to let you know what it takes, what you got to do. Okay? If you know what you're going up against, maybe you can prepare yourself better. Okay? Um so then on top of all of that, let's talk about how, yes, you make big money, but let's talk about what you got to do to make it, because I don't think y'all understand. Again, I said flood adjusting is a totally different animal on the property adjusting side. So with flood adjusting, not only do you have to be good with structure, not only do you have to be good with policy, but you also have to be good with contents. You have to handle you have to handle the property claim, the property structural damage. You have to hold the insured's hand during that process. You're going to have several flood claims that are going to be assigned to you that you have to balance, but you also have to do the contents claim. And guess what? You can't do it like how you do it on the homeowner side, where it's like, okay, let me do the property stuff so I can write that estimate and get that out of the way. And then I'm going to come back to contents. Oh, nay, nay. You have to handle property and contents. You cannot turn the file in until all of that is done. You got to do, and guess what? You don't know how to do content. And you probably barely know what you're doing with property, even after 4 years. Because Just because you've been licensed for 4 years don't mean you've been working as a property adjuster for 4 years. Okay, we all know the truth. And Phoebe just co-signed on that. You heard her? Okay, you heard her. Okay, the cat just co-signed, said meow. Okay. Um, so you're starting off well behind where your coworkers are starting. Okay, when you don't have this stuff. For those who want to be shameless plug, for those who want to learn how to handle content and handle it properly. I'm not talking about no content processor. I'm not talking about a content inspector. I'm talking about being a certified content adjuster taught by experienced over 30 years of experience content adjusters. Yeah. TPAS has the only personal property content certification course of the industry. Oh yeah, I know those carriers think they got contents units and they got their own. They ain't doing it right. All they did was take people who've been doing structure, ALE, or whatever else, and said, "You good with details? We gonna put you in the contents unit." So you're not well versed in policy. You're not well versed in structure. You really don't have enough structure experience under your belt. You don't know how to do contents, and you want to go out and be a flood adjuster. And here's the thing. Let me tell you how the pay system works. So yeah, if you've seen if you've seen a flood NFIP flood adjuster fee schedule, you like yo right, man. My check's gonna be fat. Let me explain to you how this works. So you go out there, you do an inspection. Let's say you got all the details, you got it all done in that day, whatever, right? All the content stuff, all the pictures, all the stuff. Let's say in the best case scenario, right? I'm giving you best case scenario where there's no hiccups, there's no errors, there's nothing you got to double back on. All right. So let's say you did everything right. You went out there. Now you're back at your home office or your hotel room. When I'm saying home office, I mean hotel room. You cannot do that. Oh, I'm just gonna. Before I say that, let me finish. So you go back to your hotel room. You write all this up. It's gonna take you a little bit to write it up. You're not gonna be able to write it up in a matter of hours. It could possibly take you a week for some adjusters too, to fully write up your structure estimate, do the contents estimate, and all the assessments and reports and paperwork that FEMA requires you to fill out before turning in that file. Then you turn it in. You're turning it into an IA firm, which has probably got hired by a private insurer, which FEMA calls the WYOs. You cannot get a flood adjuster gig directly working under FEMA NFIP. Not not from this angle. There's another way you can do it, but not from this angle. Okay. So you turn all that information in to your IA firm. Your IA firm then has it goes through file examination. Let's say best case scenario, nothing comes back for returns, it's approved. Then the file goes up to the carrier's file reviewer. And then they got to approve it. Let's say best case scenario, you turned everything in, the IA firm reviewer approves it, the carrier file approves it. The carrier file examiner approves it. Then it's got to go up to FEMA NFIP reviewer. Let's say best case scenario, it gets fully approved there. Even once you go through that whole process, guess what? Then once FEMA approves it and says, okay, we're good, right? The government has is on a what we call a net 30 pay contract. That means after they approve it, the government has up to 30 days to pay the carrier, who then pays the IA firm, who then pays you. That's how long it can take, and even longer to get paid on your very first flood claim. So, what you're looking at realistically from the day that you are deployed, and not even from the day you're deployed, just from the day you finish your first claim and submit it, you're looking at, and as long as everything gets approved, this is in a case where nothing gets returned for revisions. And we already know You're going to have stuff returned for revisions, especially when you first start off, right? And you're still trying to figure out what they want, how they want it, so forth and so on. You're looking at a minimum of 30 to, I would say 45 to 60 days before you get your first paycheck for flood. So not only do you have to have all this knowledge, you need some money stacked up, or you're going to starve to death out there. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, I know how to get around that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to inspect everything and then I'm going to go home. Nope, they won't let you do that. If you people have tried and they taken all their claims from them and sent them home. You cannot leave the storm area. So you got to sit out in wherever that flood location is, wherever those losses took place. You got to sit out there, pay for hotel. You got to pay for your bills at home, your bills on the road for 60 days at 45 to 60 days minimum before you get paid. How happy are you about pursuing flood adjusting now? Here's the thing, it can be done. You just need to be prepared. But what's happening is everybody telling you about the money, but they ain't telling you about what it takes to get there. And I also found out when I revealed all this stuff on Facebook, and people was like, "Yo, I didn't know that's what it took." Yeah, you spinning your wheels going in the wrong direction. You putting all that energy and effort to flood adjusting. You ain't got the money or the credit card saved up to hold yourself down for 2 months without pay, right? You don't have the structural knowledge. You don't have the policy knowledge. You don't know contents. Because remember, you can't turn in that flood claim. I will say it again. You cannot turn in that flood claim until the structure and the contents are done. You turn them in together. You cannot turn in structure and not contents. They will reject it. Then I found out another flood adjuster, he said he has been doing flood for about 20 years. He said another thing that I forgot to say is that how they doing it now with FEMA, if it turns out that they do an audit later on down the line and FEMA says, "Oh, you know what? You actually overpaid on this claim." Do you know they're coming back after the adjuster for that money back? You don't want to mess with flood unless you really know what you're doing. Again, I'm flood certified. Okay. Been flood certified since I've been 5 years licensed. Okay. But I have yet to work a flood. Well, I have worked flood claims, but it was for my company, for Contents Adjuster Team, and we only did contents. We did that for a client, and we only did contents. Okay, but I still renew every year. I do would like. I'm curious. I would like to try it at least once, but again, I ain't in no hurry. And I've been in this game 19 years and been able to make a living for myself just fine for 19 years without working any flood claims, y'all. You're dealing with nepotism with flood, just like you're going to deal with nepotism with any other industry, with any other facet of any other industry that you're dealing with. So, with all of that said, again, it's not to discourage you, but just know what you're getting yourself into. So, let's talk about what else you can do. Another way that you can maybe be able to work with FEMA without necessarily being a NFIP certified flood adjuster. All right. If you get FEMA does have other sides to it where you could work. You could be a FEMA inspector. And that's something that is separate from you being an adjuster. Okay. Your adjuster skills spill over into FEMA inspector because you are going to be inspecting properties that are damaged as a result of flood, right? But it's under FEMA inspector, and they usually use two companies. One is called Vanguard Inspection Services. I talked about them last season. I even had a few episodes where I went through the Vanguard process and I took you all with me through that process. Okay, go look back at the videos from season one. You can also go through WSP Inspection Services. Sign up with those two companies, get your profiles going, and go through their processes and become a FEMA inspector. And then you can also have that under your belt, add that to your resume. And that's something that you can, when the opportunity arises, you can tap into. But again, even with the FEMA inspectors, because I actually, we had a flood here a couple of years back, and I had a FEMA inspector actually try to recruit me when she realized what I did because I was like, I measured everything for you. Here's my sketch. And she's like, what do you do? And I told her, and she said, you would be a great FEMA inspector here. Go apply. Da, 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 da. And I was like, okay. So then I did. And she was like, they're really looking for people who know about structure. Okay. So you still got to know about structure, you all. Here's the thing. You're looking for gigs. You're trying, and I get it. You're just trying to find a way in so that you can, so you can make good on what you pay for your licenses and your trainings, and I get that. Oh, 100%. I freaking get it. Like I get it. You hungry right now. You're thirsty. And I understand that. I've been there. I'm still there. Okay. Still hustling and surviving, still trying to grind it out. Um, but you got to work smarter, not harder. You got to put your efforts and your energy in the right direction. Because if you don't, it's going to be all bad for you. You're going to be out there on the lurch. I'm telling you, you're going to be out there like, okay, okay. They're going to be having you lost and turned out. Well, hey, you lost and turned out on adjusting out here in these streets, okay? So put your efforts into something that is more constructive, that's gonna help you to progress faster. You gotta get your knowledge base up. You gotta figure out how to get the money to invest in your training. Whatever take your trainings. I highly recommend um Vail is a very, very good training facility. All the adjusters that I know who went through Vail's training has never had an issue having a job. Um, you can go, of course, you can go through us for content. We have really good training as well, but there's other. We may not be your cup of tea, and that's fine. Go find somebody who is. Find a trainer that you can work with if you're wanting to be in property in the field for real, there's other alternative ways that you can get training. Call up some of those roofing companies that are in your city. See if they have, especially if you're not working right now, see if they have a job. See if you can get trained by them on how to go out, meet customers, and sell roofs. And here's the thing, no, you may not be a salesman, that might not be your deal. The whole purpose of that is for you to start getting used to inspecting homes and looking at damages. They're going to train you on how to look at stuff like that from the contractor's perspective. Okay. And that helps you to get you some experience in the area of structure and material identification and damage identification and things like that. And you can be paid in the process. You're literally being paid to learn. Okay. See if you have a family member, relative, or whatever who may have they might be a plumber, they might be an electrician, they might be an HVAC tech. See if you can learn up under them. They might have an auto shop. Somebody I just talked to recently was like, I know I got certification on these big, heavy equipment deals. I'm working with Pensa. I can't remember the name of the company, but Penske. I was like, "Oh, that's good. That's gonna be good that you can use that knowledge that will transfer over also into adjusting skills, right?" Um, so there's a lot of different things that you can do. There's training and things that you can look at right here on YouTube that's free. Tap into the IA firms who you're on the rosters of to see what LMS, what learning management system that they have, what training modules they have, and just watch them because they free. And what else you got to do? You hear me? You got to make this a part-time job. If you really want to do this, you got to make it your part-time job until it becomes your full-time job. Okay? That's just what it is. And here's the thing. I'm not telling you something that you don't know. This is any new career that you get into, you have to build up your knowledge set. You have to practice. You got to build up your muscle. You got to build up your intellectual property, so to say. And so you're going to have to do this no matter what career you decide to go off into. And I will say this with adjusting, a lot of it is where your personality wise, you got to be a self starter. If you're looking for someone, we can hold your hand, okay? We can do as much as we can. I can lead you to water, baby, but I cannot make you drink. You are the X factor. So when people ask, how long is it gonna take for me to get deployed? You let me know. What are you willing to do? What are you willing how what are you willing to learn? What how are disciplined are you with your daily time? Um and how do you have your day scheduled out? And do you have where you even if it's just 30 minutes a day, do you dedicate at least 30 minutes a day towards your adjusting career? Whether that's taking that 30 minutes to apply to be on somebody's roster, whether that's watching some video, going through some training module, how much time a day do you dedicate or a week do you dedicate towards this career path? So you can't put nothing into it and then expect everything out of it. Life don't work that way, boo boo. We are talking about adjusting longevity. And if you want to make this a career and you want to have it and have longevity in this industry, like myself, like my mother, like people like Lorenzo Jackson and Melody Westmoreland, and all these folks you see at the top, you got to tap in because it's not just going to fall on your lap. So if you're not a go-getter, if you're not going to be out here, making it do, okay, baby, you ain't going to make it. You're just not going to make it, baby. You got to go all in. You got to go all in. If you don't go all in, you're not going to get what you want to get out of it. It's not going to give to you the way you want it to give. And I'm sorry. And that's just the hard truth of it all. That's just the hard truth. And that's going to be the case for anything you decide to pursue in life. So even what I'm saying is not something that's unique. It's not something that's profound. It's not something that you haven't heard before. I'm just trying to give the real. When you coming into this industry, I'm not trying to tell you no pretty truths. I no pretty lies. I will tell you the truth, even if it's ugly. Okay, so that because I can't. It breaks my heart to see quality people who could totally do this. You're totally capable. You've got everything that you need, but you are misinformed. And so you go down the wrong path and then you get discouraged because you hit a wall and then you quit. And I hate that for y'all. When I know what it could be for you because I know what it's been for me and I know what it's been for my family. My mother's an adjuster. My I got two aunts that are adjusters. I got two first cousins. I got 3 or 4 second cousins, like, I got family I got an uncle, I got a family full of adjusters over here, so don't tell me what ain't gonna work, it works. It's just like, hey, keep coming back, it works if you work it, but you got to work it though. That's gonna be the key to adjuster longevity is you. You are the X factor. I'm gonna emphasize that on every single one of these adjuster checkups for the rest of the season. You are the X factor. It is about you. What are you willing to do? I volunteered for Habitat for Humanity because I didn't know how to construct a home. I didn't know what two by fours were. I didn't understand wall studs and wall joists. I didn't know how a fence was installed. I didn't understand the difference between certain things, a certain window. I didn't know double hung and single hung were two different window types. I didn't understand jalouse versus casement versus awnings. I didn't understand those things. I didn't know the difference. I didn't know plaster when I was looking at it versus drywall mud. I didn't know, but I went and found a way to find the out. I hung out in Home Depot just looking, walking through the aisles of building materials, like, oh, okay. So this is what it looked like before. Is this and then they paint it. Got it. Bow. You know what I'm saying? Like I connected the dots. We bought this huge, thick. One day I'm gonna grab it from Mama's house and I'm gonna bring it because she still got this big, huge, thick book that we got and told us it had every single piece of construction that was ever made in that book, and it talked about the different sizes and what you could do to it and all the specifications of. And I would just study that book. I would print out the policies and read them for fun, like a whole nerd. But guess what? I'm a policy interpretation expert now. We took and learned about an area of insurance, personal property contents that nobody wanted to know anything about. I don't want to do contents is too much. We'll take it. We'll eat that ish right up. And now we're experts at it. Now we have our own contents adjusting firm. Now we have the only personal property content certification course in the entire industry. So it's all what you want to do. And here's the thing, this is what I tell my folks when I train them. One is not a matter of if you're going to be deployed, it's a matter of when. They're going to call you. Are you going to be ready? Next is, I forgot my last thought. If you'll get deployed, when. And next is the last thought that I wanted to say that I always tell my people is, what are you willing to invest in yourself to get to the level you want to get to? The third thing I always say, and it just came, I lost it again, and it just came to me. What are you willing to invest in yourself to get to the level that you want to get to? And I just lost it. It was right there. What are you willing to invest in yourself? Okay, I lost it. It's gone. But that's what it is, you all. Get involved in these organizations. Go to a conference, a real adjusters conference. I ain't gonna put no shade on no organizations out here. I'm talking to y'all about PLRB. I'm telling you what I see. I'm telling you what I saw. I'm telling you how that organization literally helped build our name up, because it is like the has the biggest claims centered, claims professional, claims service vendor event of our entire industry. I'm sitting on about 10 contacts right now that I'm following up with, and we're talking about contracts that they want to give us to work contents claims, for our team to work contents claims for them. I met these people at PLRB. I put myself out there. I put my best foot forward. That's all I've done. I am no bigger or no less than you. I am no different than you. I've just been in this industry longer than you, and I've made more mistakes. And I am fearless. I'm like, I'm going to bump my head. Even if it's, I'm going to do something different, even if it's wrong. That's what I wanted to say. Last thing I tell my folks is, listen, you're looking at myself, you're looking at my mother, you're looking at other people that are like us, that are big in the industry, who stayed in the industry. But here's the thing, I don't know what your real dream is, but you do. You don't have to do this and stay here like we did and evolve and got all these businesses that service the industry. You don't have to do that. But this is a means to an end. It can be a means to an end. What do you really want to do? Like for real, for real. Like what's your, when you are in private and nobody knows what's on your mind and you're thinking, what do you really dream about doing? Of course, you might say, I want to be on the beach, I want to travel, but I mean, like your gift, your internal inherent gift or gifts, you may have multiple things. What really drives you? Because you can, and the thing is that's your why for everything. If you stay focused on that, that can drive you to do what you need to do here to earn the money that you need to earn so that you can pursue your real passion and your real dream. This can help you get there. I've known of adjusters who've done this. I knew like one adjuster at the very beginning, I was new still. I might have had maybe 3 or 4 years under my belt. This lady, really, really sweet lady that I worked with, she had put her money aside. She always baked. She was always cooking and baking stuff. And she opened her own bakery. To my knowledge, it's still there. That's what she did. Right. I know of adjusters who their passion was really like working on cars. They opened their own car shop. And it's still there. I know people who took this and they wanted to live out in the woods somewhere in Homestead. And that's what they still do. Um, this can help you really not just pursue the dreams that you have and that passion that you have inside of you, but actually accomplish that. Like live that, like manifest that. No, it's not a get rich quick thing. And I think that's why a lot of people want to look at flood because they like, oh, if I got a flood law and it go above amount, I get paid, 3% of that or 1%. Well, it's all because this flood, it's gonna be this and this and that. Yeah. Can you wait 60 days to get your first paycheck? Do you have the funds saved up to hold yourself down, pay your personal bills and your out of town bills for 60 days? Can you afford to make a mistake on a flood claim, have it audited where you overpaid and then have to pay the government back because you overpaid a claim? That baby, that's listen. I may never work flood for that reason alone. Y'all can keep it. No, but I'm just saying, you got to know the risk that you're taking. You got to know what you're really getting yourself into. This is serious, y'all. Yes, it's fun. We have a lot of fun. We make a lot of money, but I mean, it's serious. You are helping somebody in the one of the most stressful times, traumatic times of their life. You know how good it feels to be able to go home or feel at the end of the day to be like, oh Lord, I'm so tired. I can't wait to go home because that's your sanctuary. We are dealing with people who can't go home, a lot of them, or when they go home, half the house is under construction. You know, that's somebody. That could be any of us. That could be your mama, your auntie, your daddy, your uncle, your grandma. So how would you want them to be treated? Okay, I'm on a whole nother subject. We're at our 30-minute, we are beyond our 30-minute mark. As long as nobody has any questions, I am about to sign off for this adjuster checkup, but I had to just keep it real with you all on what's going on, the real deal, the real tea about flood adjusting, getting that NFIP certification, and what happens afterward, and what the work that really has to be done, the knowledge set that is really needed in order to be a flood adjuster. So yeah, you're NFIP certified, but you're not ready. All right. But you can get ready though. You can get ready. You can get ready. Just you got to be willing to do the work. Nobody who is here, who has been here in this industry for as long as folks like myself and other folks, none of us have been here this long by, forgive my language, bullshitting, half assing, or trying to, skirt under the radar. Nobody's doing that successfully. Okay. I'm going to let you know that right off the bat. Taking shortcuts and, but y'all do what y'all do. I'll see you next week. Next week we're going to talk about, ooh, girl, it's so much. Excuse me. Ooh, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, girl. It's so much I want to talk to you all about. I got a lot of knowledge in this big old head of mine, okay? And listen. It's a lot of things that I want to share with you all. I just want to give you what I think can help you, can help you be better, can help you progress, can help you know what areas and avenues you need to be pursuing versus which ones you don't want to be pursuing. Okay. All right. So with that said, again, all season 2 is all about your longevity. Adjuster longevity, adjusting longevity. Okay. So for next week, I've been having a couple of subjects that people have been sending over to me. Next week, I think we are going to dive into financial resources that can help you pay for your pursuit of the adjuster career. All right, you all. So, anybody who is listening, if you have any questions and you didn't get to put it in the chat, please be sure to um, put it in the chat and I will make sure to answer it. Questions, suggestions, whatever the case may be. If you did like this video, please, please, please give me a thumbs up so I know that you are resonating with the message. Also, subscribe to the channel, okay? Support your girl. It's free. Thank you so much. All right. And you're not just helping me, you're helping the adjusters as well. You're helping our adjuster community in the process. And if you are looking to get your CEs because your license is coming up for renewal, tune in, not tune in, but tap into our 10% partnership discount with WebCE. Oh, yes. TPAS LLC is now partnered with WebCE.com. And that means that all of our adjusters who use our WebCE site gets a 10% discount on any pre licensing or continuing education courses. So all you need to do is go to www.webce.com/TPAS. Set up a profile. It is completely free. Then you're going to select which type of class you want, pre licensing or continuing education. Then you're going to select the state. And once you select the state, you'll have all these different options for CE classes that you can take. WebCE does have pre made packages for you that you can do. Or if you're like, hey, I just need two general credits. Let me take this class. You can select a pre-made package, or you can select a class individually based on whatever your CE needs are. So get into it. If you have any questions about how to navigate through that our web CE site, if you go to our playlist and go to TPAS tips, there is a video on I think it's called Your CEs with Web CE or something like that. Go through that video. It's less than 15 minutes, I think, and I take you through all the steps with screenshots on how to do that. All right. So thank you so much, you all, for tuning in. I appreciate your support. Again, if there's any topics that you want me to address in the future, please, please put that suggestion in the chat and I will look into it. All right. I might even be having some special guests on this season, some other not TPAS trained adjusters like we do with the claims adjuster workshop, but some adjuster veterans in the industry. Okay, that I might add to our channel on one of these episodes or a couple of these episodes so you can pick their brain. All right, so as long as God says the same, okay, and everybody's able and willing. All right, so with that said, I am signing off. I will see you all next week, 8 p.m. Central. Let's talk about next week financial resources you can tap into to help you pay for your pursuit of the adjusting career. All right, you all, with that, we are out of here. Have a great night. Be good to each other, and I will see you next week. Bye.